Working Entrepreneur, Episode 7.
Set your boundaries. I'm going to only work from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on these days. And here's what I can accomplish, and here's how much I expect to make. And based on that, this is the business that I want to start.
Hello, fellow rock stars. I'm your host, Tushar Sharma, and I'm so pumped up today to have Zeena Dhalla here with me today. Zeena, are you ready to rock?
Yes.
Great, I love that energy. So Zeena is a Certified Postural Specialist, author, speaker, Pilates instructor, and wellness coach. She is also the co-author of the book Sculpt and Shape, The Pilates Way, which is a must-read book if you are interested in living an injury-free, active lifestyle. Zeena is also an owner and manager of multiple fitness facilities. Welcome to the show, Zeena. I've given our fellow rockstars a brief introduction about you, so take some time and describe a bit more about your professional and your personal life.
Great. Yes, thank you for having me. As you mentioned, I'm Zeena, and I have been a Pilates instructor now for about 12 years, personal trainer for about 15 years. My current project and my passion is my business called Vertical Pilates. And in Vertical Pilates, we do a different form of Pilates. So Pilates is a strengthen and stretch the body. But the traditional Pilates was designed to be mostly lying down on a piece of equipment called the reformer. And I do utilize the reformer, but I specifically focus on a new piece of equipment called the core line machine. And with the core line machine, we do upright training. So we're mostly standing on our feet, and we're working on a machine that requires you to use a lot of balance, core control, postural muscles. So with my clients, we not only get a great workout, but we also work on strengthening all those muscles to get us into better alignment. And we work on back pain, neck pain reduction. So Vertical Pilates is primarily focused on that. I also do postural home alignment training, which is where I work with clients who travel a little further or who can't come to my studio on a regular basis. And I give them a home routine to help get them into proper postural alignment. And then, as you mentioned, I was recently co-authored the book Sculpt and Shape, The Pilates Way, which is one of the first major Pilates books to come out in India. And we've sold over 10,000 copies so far. We're doing really well with that. And that was my first writing venture. So I'm looking forward to doing some more writing and growing Vertical Pilates and really educating the universe on what it means to be in proper posture and alignment.
Very quickly, how would you define what Pilates is and why is it so important for everyone out there?
Sure. Well, as we know, we sit a lot for a living these days, and we were not meant to be sitting human beings. We were meant to be hunters and gatherers. So it's really important that we start moving. But unlike other fitness regimens where people just focus on getting their heart rate up or just pumping up muscles, Pilates really focuses on making sure that you're moving correctly. So as a result of sitting, we tend to get our spines out of alignment. And as a result, about 80% of Americans get into back pain. So with Pilates, and specifically the Pilates that we promote in Sculpt and Shape and the Pilates that I teach in my studio, we really work on strengthening all the muscles that get really weak, and we work on stretching all the muscles that get really tight from the sitting, driving, texting, computer lifestyle that we lead. So we move slowly. We focus on precision. Some of the principles of Pilates are flow, precision, harmony, power. And we just really work in the proper muscles. And that's what makes Pilates really special, unique, and a must for people who especially sit all day at their desk.
All right, sounds great. Stepping even a little bit back into time, what got you into Pilates in general?
That's an interesting story. And when I was in my 20s, out of nowhere, I decided that I wanted to run a marathon. I just heard this commercial on the radio for this training program. I thought to myself, hey, maybe I can do that. And I joined the program. And in the 6 months that I was in the program and I ran my first marathon, it was pretty amazing. Every week, I was beating a personal goal. I had never run more than 3 miles in my life. And all of a sudden, every Saturday, we'd get together and I'm running 4 and 5 and 10 and 12 and 15 miles. And then 6 months later, I ran 26 miles. And it changed my life, not just physically, but it changed me mentally. It made me realize that I can do anything that I set my mind to do. And I wanted to teach that to other people. So around the time that I got married, when I was able to take a little bit of a financial hit, before that I had been working in the entertainment industry and the internet, .com boom was happening around that time. And I wanted to quit my job and go be a personal trainer. So I did that for a couple years. And when I bought my women's gym in 2003, there was a Pilates studio already in the women's gym. And I thought, let me try this Pilates thing. I had actually taken Pilates years earlier in college, but just didn't know too much about it. And the moment I started doing Pilates, it fit me so much better than personal training. I loved personal training. I became a top selling trainer within 2 months of doing it. It obviously fit my personality. It was what I was meant to do with my life. But Pilates really honed in for me the detail and the pain relief end of it. I would have clients who would come in with back pain, neck pain, and within months be able to feel pain free. And for me, that was so much more gratifying than just asking them to do 20 push-ups or counting their squats. And the detailed element of Pilates is what really attracted to me. So when I sold my gym and I went back to just teaching when I had my daughter, Pilates was really, the way, the direction that I wanted to go with my career from then on.
Sounds great. And how did it help with the marathons or like other physical activities that you were working on?
Oh gosh, it helps me even now. I mean, I'll go do something really physical, like run a little bit, or maybe go take, a high energy class. And the next day, I usually always have to come back to my Pilates stretches and my core exercises just to get myself back in alignment. I really practice what I preach. And I am someone who struggles a little bit with back pain, primarily because I have a leg length discrepancy in my own body. So I understand what that feels like. I can really relate to my clients. So if I don't do my stretches and I don't do my core strengthening, then I will be in pain. So I have to alternate my days of high intensity exercise with my Pilates and my stretching in order to really maintain the alignment in my own body.
Okay, great. So suppose I'm interested in becoming an instructor for this. Do I need some sort of certification which I can get only at your particular Vertical Pilates center?
There are actually core line training instructors around the country that will teach you how to train on the core line. But in order to train on the core line, you have to come to the training with either a Pilates certification or a personal training certification. So, and some experience, because honestly, I don't think any of the core line instructors across the country will train anybody that doesn't come with some sort of biomechanics knowledge and experience. It's just a difficult machine to train on. I mean, it's brilliant, it's wonderful, but it's not the easiest. It takes someone with some knowledge and understanding of the body to really train properly on it. And that ended up becoming, to tell the rest of the story, that ended up becoming sort of my downfall, or my worst entrepreneurial moment, so to speak, was that we went on for about another year and a half in that location. I hired a second instructor, spent another 6 months training her, and hired a part-time assistant to help, also sort of grow with marketing and customer service. And we were growing a little bit here and there. We were making some money, but it just wasn't enough to obviously make a living. And I had this assistant who suggested we try Groupon. And at the time, I had 4 machines. I was charging about $30 a session, which is about $10 to $12 higher than your average studio. But that was because we were unique. We were the only ones using core lines, and we only had 4. And most other studios in the area have 8, 10, 12 machines, if you're really comparing us to your traditional Pilates, studio, group equipment studio. Well, we tried Groupon, and we had, I remember specifically having this one gentleman come in, and he had bought like the 4 private package. We were doing private sessions for a Groupon, and I gave him all of me. And when I train my clients, I give them all of my education, my knowledge, my attention, my passion, all of it. And at the end of those 4 sessions, he took home the pricing, and then he emailed me later and said, "Hey, can you drop your rate down to $18 or $20 a class?" And this was not the first time this had happened. It had happened previous. But I remember really in that moment thinking to myself, wow, well, I am a commodity. And to these people, I'm a commodity. And I don't want to be a commodity. I think I've always prided myself on being really detail-oriented and high quality in my instruction. So it was in that moment that I had to decide, well, am I going to go into a bigger location? Am I going to buy 8 more machines? Am I going to, start churning out instructors on a weekend course versus taking 3 to 6 months to train them properly? And am I going to expand? And I was faced with that choice because I really, where I was, we weren't growing enough. We weren't really making any progress, and we weren't making enough money. So at the end of my lease, which was the end of December 2014, so the end of last year, I decided to make a change. So at that point, we moved the equipment into a loft space in my home, and I have to say, one of the hardest things was closing the door on that studio when I had been there for about 2.5 years. The other two instructors that worked for me found other positions. And it was a bit devastating in the moment. But since I closed those doors, I have done nothing but be happy because I've now found the work-life balance that I've been looking for the last couple of years. About 75% of my clients followed me to my home location. The other 25% didn't follow, mainly because of location change, which, as you know, people, when they have an exercise routine, it's hard for them to travel too far. So it usually has to be within a 15 or 20 minute drive. Mm-hmm. And I've been training just myself out of my house, and it has been probably the best decision I ever made, because now I can balance motherhood. I can work on, the book and promoting the book and those projects, and I can continue to grow and learn and become better at my craft, which is really moving more and more in the direction of the postural training.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of the story of Vertical Pilates.
That's amazing. So just to get an idea, you mentioned that there were other gyms as well that had more Corellian instruments out there. How were they able to keep up in terms of the instructors out there who were certified to teach on the Corellian equipment?
Well, actually, there aren't. So we were the only, when that gentleman came in and asked me to lower my rate, what he was comparing me to was to other reformer. So Pilates reformer, which is the other piece of equipment that Pilates created many years ago that most other studios use. And so there are literally, in my area, I live in Orange County, and there are, and I can count 10 in my area that have reformers or megaformers similar to the reformer machines that have anywhere from 8 to 15 machines. There's nobody actually, even to this day, that has a Corellian only studio that's been successful. And I think that the challenge that I ran across that didn't really know when I first started, and this is how you learn as an entrepreneur, was how challenging it was going to be to find and train instructors. There is another studio here in Mission Viejo that does have a few Corellines. The owner is this wonderful gentleman who is a Corelline master instructor, so he trains instructors, but they don't do classes. They just do private sessions, one-on-one sessions, and he also has a ton of other equipment in his studio, so he doesn't just rely on the Corelline. He uses the reformer, he uses Cadillacs, chairs, motors, Bodies. These are all other pieces of equipment that you can do Pilates on. And so he's diversified, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So, it's just challenge. And I guess I knew it going in. But I think the biggest challenge and the biggest aha moment for me there was, I could have done that. I could have gone bigger. I could have gotten a bigger location and gotten more equipment, hired more instructors, because I know I'm capable. But is this right now the time that I want to do that when I have the mom job to think about? And mm-hmm. that is the ultimate challenge for women who are trying to balance motherhood and entrepreneurial lifestyle. And but I'm happy to say that right now, in this moment, where I am with Vertical Pilates and where I am with momhood, it's a really nice balance.
Sounds good. So expanding a little bit about being a mompreneur, what advice do you have for all the moms out there and who want to become entrepreneurs, who want to follow their passion?
Gosh, there's so many opportunities these days. I feel like if I wasn't so passionate about what I would do, I would be doing at least one of 5 other things. There's multi-level marketing businesses now for moms, which I think are phenomenal, because you can, throw a jewelry party and be making money. There is, opportunities on places like Upwork, where you can become a freelancer and just set your schedule. There are, online businesses that you can start. So I think the tip that I would give is to set your boundaries. I'm going to only work from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on these days. And here's what I can accomplish. Here's how much I expect to make. And based on that, this is the business that I want to start. But I think setting boundaries is really important. I have clients all the time who ask me, hey, will you take me at 5 o'clock at night? Will you take me at 5 o'clock in the morning? Will you take me on a Saturday morning? And I say no, because for me, I've set my boundaries and my priorities, and this is what it is. And it genuinely doesn't stop me from growth. Eventually I'll find somebody who'll say, hey, I can come Friday at 1. And Friday at 1 happens to be a time slot that I have available, and I'm looking for a new client, and it works. I also think it's really important to stay positive and to do all those self-help or positive thinking things that you need to do to get yourself in the right mind frame of being an entrepreneur. You can really get beat up as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
It can be challenging, and people can say no to you. People can ask you for things. Last week, someone asked me to teach a workshop for free, and I said, no, I don't do that anymore. So again, it's another form of setting boundaries. So in the beginning, you may have to do things for free. And then when you get to a certain point, a certain level in your business, then you no longer have to do that anymore. So I hope that's
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazingly helpful. You're listening to the Inspire series on Rocking Entrepreneur. To listen to the full interview, make sure to check out the Grow series by following the link on this page. Zeena, I have truly enjoyed our journey today, and you are amazing, full of energy, and I'm sure all the fellow rock stars must have felt that through this interview. Thanks a lot for taking your valuable time out. We had a great time at Rocking Entrepreneur and hope you did too.
I had a wonderful time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.